What's up, YouTubers? Glad to be back on one more time because I'm going to be crashing and going to bed here soon, anyways. But, anyways, I'm going to get into a topic. Before I became a Satanist and before I became a devil worshiper, um, I was having bad experiences because I didn't believe in the darkness. I actually used to have nightmares all the time. Definitely demon entities would always bother me constantly, and I noticed my life was really, really effed up and out of whack, like completely, to the point where I was always angry all the time. So once I started becoming interested in that kind of stuff, then my life completely changed. I'm on a better path. I feel immortal. If you look up the definition of Sagittarius, because I'm a Sagittarius, it'll state that Sagittarius people feel immortal. And that's the way they think in their minds, that they always feel immortal, like there's no stopping them. And as you know, Sagittarius is the most craziest demon entity out there, although one can, I think, possibly top Sagittarius, and that's the one on the December calendar. Anyways, we'll get into that later. So, when I was a kid, I always had this really scary fantasy. I was actually in a house as you see, the Renton district, where somebody had apparently died, and a couple of people had died in this house I was at, and there was this bed I used to sleep in. I know this may sound crazy, but there's this bed I used to sleep in a lot, and apparently there was something that didn't feel quite about it. So I was like, hey, why not sleep in that bed, and I would always have like freaking night terrors when I was a kid. Everything was horrible. As a matter of fact, if I had one bad day at school, I would go to sleep that one night, almost every night, and my bed would start shaking, like a nonstop shaking sensation. The bed would just shake beneath me, and I would be laying there just drenched in sweat. I would always wake up every night drenched in sweat. Anyways, so I moved into this other room, and there was this bed. The top bunk was ripped, and there was this sheet just dangling down. It was almost like a hammock almost. The sheet was ripped, and it was just dangling with the wind. And there was no wind in the house, actually. Matter of fact, the windows were closed. Anyway, so I stayed in this room for a long time. I thought, wow, this can't be that bad, right? And I'll get into the next actual other realistic experience I had when I was a kid, and something I'll never forget is when my mom, I found out my mom died because she had never been texting me for a long period of time. And I knew there was something wrong with her, and I had to go find her. I had to go back to where I was previously when I was a kid. Counselor gave me the news that she died of liver cancer because she had drinking too much. Anyway, something more sinister came to see me, but it was a very relaxing and very just cuddling and just absolutely amazing sensation that I had. Anyways, so this is a picture I drew. By the way, this is the bedpost in my bedroom, and I was sleeping in a haunted bed at the time. You could kind of tell the bed has been around for years and years. There was this like metal thing on the bed, and when I was a kid, I would always symbolize it as something sinister. But it scared the shit out of me, really, because this metal circular thing on the bed, where the bedpost is connected, almost looked like an eye. Once the light dials down and the nighttime comes, just a little bit of light in the room made something like this flash, and I got a picture of something that symbolized something. So every night as a kid in that specific room, I would wake up sitting up, not knowing how my covers were pulled away from me. And like literally, I would just go to sleep. Sometimes I would even wake up on the floor not knowing what the hell happened. So I would just wake up, and I'd be literally sitting in the sit-up position, and I noticed the covers were pulled like feet and feet away from me, not knowing why that happened, what caused it. I would hear footsteps sometimes because And I wasn't on anything as a kid, you know, I was a sober kid growing up. Like the word Boschba with Boshba. It sounded like something had whispered the word Boschba, like in a whisper, scary kind of sound effect. It was like Boschba. It's like this really scary, like loud whisper. And I would hear it was be like a boom, 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 sound like somebody was walking towards me, you know, and I would just be under the cover all like tightened up, you know, and just drenched in sweat, literally. And to the point where it's unhealthy, you know. That happened to me almost every single night. So when I saw this bedpost thing, it was dark outside, the light would come through the window, and it symbolized something that was actually kind of scary. So the metal was like this, right? And when the dark hit and the light hit together, it would symbolize an eye symbol like this, as you see in some of those books you read about. I think it's either the most horrible ways to die or something or else. This lady, apparently, when I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's the only books I would read about the most horrible ways to die. As a matter of fact, the lady that had burned herself alive while she was at a party one day, she had had a cigarette in her pocket somehow, or a lighter, and it lit fire, and her eye did the same thing. And then apparently the most sinister thing about that book is it said that she had sounded like a trumpet, like a trumpet or a horn when she died, when she was dying of burning. She sounded like some kind of instrument. Anyways, this eye symbol stands out a lot because when I was living in Albuquerque, when I was in middle school there at the time, this caught my attention. An eye symbol like this. It looks like a moon, and then it has a circle around it. And so I pictured this bedpost as if he or she had spaghetti strings hanging from her hair. And that's what I envisioned. And I'm glad I'm out of that house. Most of the time when I was a kid, I never thought I was going to survive. I didn't even think I'd make it to live to 23 years old, but apparently I made it, so that's cool. I have PTSD and stuff because I was abused as a kid. I was raped and I was beaten as a kid, and there's probably reasons why I have I don't know, I'm over it now. I have 2 jobs. I'm working, moving to Bellingham soon. Really looking forward to it. Ever since I was a kid, I was always like, okay, I want to grow up super, super fast. I don't want to be a kid anymore. And boom, here I am. Matter of fact, being a kid was the most sinister thing I've ever experienced. I hated it. You were under people's control. Most of the time in the foster care systems, you don't get to pick and choose who you move in with. You just move in with them. They don't always check their background records. I got snipped for a vasectomy procedure when I was 19 or 20. Most of the kids in the foster care system growing up, hang on, low battery. Most of the kids in the foster care and group home system, they choose to get procedures done when they're older because they realize, we have too many people in the world. We're overpopulating, and we'll get into the conspiracy theory about the government exterminating people later on. I have a feeling the government has something sinister planned for the overpopulation of people. As you know, they've tried to kill off the human population millions and millions of times, different kinds of times. Number one, trying to destroy stuff out in the atmosphere, such as the moon, trying to blow it up. You got a whole bunch of different conspiracies. In the next video, since I'm low battery, I'll talk to you about that later. Anyways, yeah, this is what I envision, is that spaghetti strings hanging from the hair, just spaghetti, just dangling, the eyes going like this and looking at me and trying to freaking scare the shit out of me. And the mouth did something, it's like a toaster strudel almost. Matter of fact, I envision this mouth, these 3 long lines right here of the mouth of the bedpost, whoever the thing is. I pictured it as red strings going across, like it's chewing on fish bones or something with fish in it, with bone related, anything with bones. And a matter of fact, I envisioned it, this bedpost thing, I called it Thoodle Noodle or Thoodle Boodle. Anyways, I pictured it like chewing on sunflower seeds with bones and blood in its mouth. That's why what I envisioned, and it had this. It was like a blonde. It was almost like a blonde, male or female. Sometimes the hair, I envisioned the hair would turn from yellow to like an old lady sunflower seed gray color. Like those old ladies, how her hair dangles down a little bit, and it almost looks like she's been chewing on sunflower seeds. That's what I envisioned it as a gray or yellow spaghetti type thing. And that was in the Renton district. So I would notice I'd wake up sitting up, sweating all the time, like constantly for years on end, till I got out of there and I was like totally refreshed, didn't have to freaking worry about it anymore. I would hear footsteps. Some people did die in the house, as you know, and one of the words that says stand out since I was a kid that I still remember to this day was the word Bashba. So I don't know if it's like an Indian demon or what you would call it. It's kind of like brown bedpost with blonde spaghetti hair. Matter of fact, speaking about that, I'm going to get into something more funnier. Easter's coming up, and anyways, if I don't celebrate Easter because I'm not religious, and I don't like it. Otherwise, candy's cool. Speaking about chocolate, bedpost, blonde, spaghetti-haired lady, have you guys ever thought about going online and buying $100 tall female, just chocolate lady statue? Like, I'm talking about one with like Skittles and M&Ms inside of it. Like, this tall, stands up, human size, like a chocolate lady, about this tall, maybe taller. Wonder what she would taste like. That gets into a more sexual, explicit topic, and I kind of like it, actually. It's kind of good for you. Anyways, tall lady about this tall for Easter. Chocolate statue. Probably tastes pretty good. Probably has Oreos inside of it. Anyways. Matter of fact, I'm trail mix. I'm African American, Italian, Puerto Rican, and Native American, so boom. Hell yeah. Anyways, guys, go ahead and let me know what you think about the story. I'm going to be drawing up some more stuff here too, but I'll be doing that tomorrow because I know you guys are probably in bed right now. So yeah, stay tuned for more stories, guys, and stoner moments.